Anxiety is a very serious problem that affects people all over the world. It doesn't discriminate against race, gender, religion. Regardless, if you're in the top 1% of the world's wealthiest, you too can be a victim of anxiety. So to no surprise, countless celebrities have publicly come out with their own stories of dealing with anxiety, and truthfully, I think it's amazing. For some reason, there's a negative stigma about mental health in general, whether it be speaking about it or addressing the issues at hand. So to see people with such large platforms publicly speak about their own experiences, well, it's nice to see. I deal with a fair amount of anxiety myself, and regardless if you do or don't, the truth is, mental health is no different than physical health, something society is slowly but surely coming to terms with. Today we're counting down the top 10 celebrities that struggle with anxiety. Starting us off at number 10, Selena Gomez. In 2016, Selena took a break from her career to focus on her mental health. Telling People magazine her lupus led to her having severe anxiety and depression, she said, "I've discovered that anxiety, panic attacks, and depression can be side effects of lupus, which can present their own challenges. I want to be proactive and focus on maintaining my health and happiness, and I have decided that the best way forward is to take some time off. Thank you to all my fans for your support. You know how special you are to me, but I need to face this head on to ensure I am doing everything possible to my best. I know I am not alone by sharing this. I hope others will be encouraged to address their own issues." She's also an executive producer on 13 Reasons Why, which is known for its focus on struggling and dealing with mental health issues. And at number 9, Emma Stone. In numerous interviews, Stone has publicly spoken about how she has dealt with issues regarding anxiety since the age of 7. Explaining the first time she had a panic attack, I quote, "I was at a friend's house and all of a sudden I was absolutely convinced the house was on fire and it was burning down. I was just sitting in her bedroom and obviously the house wasn't on fire, but there was nothing in me that didn't think we were going to die." She even wrote a book in therapy called I Am Bigger Than My Anxiety, in which she told Rolling Stone, I quote, "I wrote this book in therapy called I Am Bigger Than My Anxiety that I still have. I drew a little green monster on my shoulder that speaks to me in my ear and tells me all these things that aren't true. And every time I listen to it, it grows bigger. If I listen to it enough, it crushes me. But if I turn my head and keep doing what I'm doing, let it speak to me but don't give it the credit it needs, then it shrinks down and fades away." Up next at number 8, Stephen Colbert. Everyone has their own ways of coping or dealing with anxiety, and it seems for Colbert, performing is the only thing that helps him escape the vicious cycle that can take a serious toll on one's life. Telling Rolling Stone, I quote, "Creating something is what helped me from spinning apart like an unweighted flywheel, and I haven't stopped since." He also explained, I quote, "I had a bit of a nervous breakdown after I got married, kind of panic attacks. My wife would go off to work and she'd come home because I worked at night, and I'd be walking around the couch, and she's like, 'How was your day?' And I'd say, 'You're looking at it.' Just tight circles around the couch." Colbert credits medication aside from performing as a big reason he's been able to go on to achieve such accomplishments in his career. Now at 7, Zayn Malik. The former frontman of One Direction wrote an article in 2016 with Time magazine depicting his struggles. I quote, "Anxiety is nothing to be ashamed of. It affects millions of people every day. I know I have fans out there who have been through this kind of thing too, and I wanted to be honest for their sake, if nothing else. When I was in One Direction, my anxiety issues were huge, but within the safety net of the band, they were at least manageable. As a solo performer, I felt much more exposed, and the psychological stress of performing had just gotten to be too much for me to handle. At that moment, at least. Rather than hiding away, sugarcoating it, I knew I had to put it all out there." Now I will say guys, it's a scary thing not only coming to terms with your own issues, but also going public with them. However, as we continue as a society to collectively show not only is it normal to deal with, but it's actually encouraged to speak about your mental health issues, I feel more people will start slowly being honest with themselves and the world. At number 6, Lady Gaga. Speaking with Billboard in 2015 about her struggles, Gaga, whose real name is Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanotta, which I really hope I said right, that's a long name. Well, she said, I quote, "I've suffered through depression and anxiety my entire life. I still suffer with it every single day. I just want these kids to know that the depth that they feel as human beings is normal. We were born that way. This modern thing, where everyone is feeling shallow and less connected, that's not human." In 2012, she started the Born This Way Foundation with her mother, whose mission statement reads, I quote, "Born This Way looks forward toward a future that supports the wellness of young people through an evidence-based approach that is fiercely kind, compassionate, accepting, and inclusive. We celebrate the individuality of those we serve, and we revere the bravery it takes to reach out and start the conversation. Together, we're building a community that provides approachable resources, fosters genuine connection, and drives action." Overall, it seems their message is to simply empower those who feel they don't have a voice, or at the very least, resources for help. Halfway at 5, Chris Evans. Even Captain America suffers from anxiety, but as I said before guys, it really doesn't discriminate against anyone. In an interview, Evans talked about how his anxiety started to consume him as he started to audition for bigger projects. Specifically speaking on actors, he mentioned how for every one movie you see them in, it's likely that they were rejected dozens of times before. And I could attest to that. As an actor who didn't book my first gig with an agent until 4 years after graduating from acting school, it definitely takes a toll on your mental health. He also explained, I quote, "I get anxiety about certain things and press, things like that. However, he's learned, I quote, maybe the thing you're most scared of is actually the thing you should do." In regards to how he deals with his anxiety, he said, "The phrase, shh, has been a big thing for me. Everyone's brain is noisy and the root of suffering is following that brain noise and listening to that brain noise and identifying with it as if it's who you are." Now at number 4, Ryan Reynolds, another superhero. Well, sorta, I guess Deadpool's like a superhero, right? Either way, Reynolds explained to the New York Times in 2018 while interviewing for Deadpool 2, I quote, "I have anxiety. I've always had anxiety. Both in the lighthearted, I'm anxious about this kind of thing, and I've been to the depths of the darker end of the spectrum, which is not fun." Reynolds claims his dad being hard on him as a child is likely where this root of anxiety stems from. I quote, "He wasn't easy on anyone, and he wasn't easy on himself. I think the anxiety might have started there, trying to find ways to control others by trying to control myself." Moving on to number 3, Ariana Grande. In May of 2017, a bombing would take place at Manchester Arena the night of Ariana's concert. Following the traumatic incident, which killed just under 24 and injured over 130, Ariana admits she's never been the same. Plagued with PTSD as well as anxiety, she told British Vogue, I quote, "My anxiety has anxiety. No, I've always had anxiety. I've never really spoken about it because I thought everyone had it, but when I got home from tour, it was the most severe I think it's ever been." She also told Elle magazine, I quote, "When I got home from tour, I had really wild dizzy spells. This feeling like I couldn't breathe. I would be in a good mood, fine and happy, and then they would hit me out of nowhere. I've always had anxiety, but it had never been physical before. There were a couple of months straight where I felt so upside down." And at number 2, Leonardo DiCaprio. While doing the rounds for the film Inception, Leo got incredibly honest during an interview with Rolling Stone magazine in 2010. I don't know what it is with Rolling Stone and celebrities telling them about anxiety, but there seems to be a pattern here. Regardless, Leo explained in the interview, I quote, "It's crazy how your mind will become this database to make you worry about things that are so arbitrary. I have a well-organized life, and I've put a lot of thought into the things that I do. And then, you know, my stomach will be, I'll just be sitting there totally anxious about something ridiculous. You have to stop yourself during the day and say, it's just not worth it." Couldn't have said it better myself. It's just not worth it. In at number 1, Sarah Silverman. Speaking with Glamour magazine, Silverman told them she initially started dealing with depression at age 13, and shortly after, anxiety also started to haunt her. I quote her saying, "I went from being the class clown to not being able to see life in that casual way anymore. I couldn't deal with being with my friends. I didn't go to school for months. And I started having panic attacks." People use panic attacks very casually out here in Los Angeles, but I don't think most of them really know what it is. Every breath is labored. You are dying. You are going to die. It's terrifying. I mean, I will say panic attacks can manifest themselves in different ways, but there was one point in my life, I think it was 2 weeks before my 25th birthday, that I had such a severe panic attack, my mom literally wanted to take me to the hospital. I couldn't catch my breath. I was just so wound up emotionally, hyperventilating, bawling my eyes out. I think it's safe to say it's probably the worst I've ever physically felt in my life. Lasted maybe 45 minutes to an hour, which is really abnormally long for panic attacks, which normally last a couple minutes, 10 minutes, if that, usually at most. But when I tell you guys it literally felt like hours, I honestly would not wish this upon my worst enemy. It was hands down the worst feeling I've ever felt in my life.
Recently, T-Pain revealed that some rude comments made by Usher kicked off what would be a 4-year battle with depression. Depression can vary for a lot of people, but in simple terms, it's a constant feeling of sadness and loss of interest that can prevent you from doing your normal day-to-day activities. And yes, even famous people have had their battles with depression. That's why today we're counting down the top 10 celebrities you didn't know had depression. Coming in at number 10, T-Pain.
That is the very moment, and I don't even think I realized this for a long time. That's the very moment that started a 4-year depression for me.
During an exclusive clip that was released for the upcoming Netflix series called This Is Pop, T-Pain revealed that he fell into a deep depression after his former friend and fellow musician Usher told him that he effed up music. At first he thought that he was joking, so he tried to laugh it off, but then Usher really went in on him. He said that T-Pain really messed up music for real singers because he was responsible for making auto-tune part of the mainstream sound. However, now looking back on it, T-Pain had a better perspective on Usher's hurtful words and said that while he did use a lot of auto-tune, he never told anyone else to start using it as well. Although at that moment, it wasn't so easy for him to have the confidence to say that. This was coming from someone who he viewed as his friend and probably even looked up to. T-Pain continued by saying, "That is the very moment, and I don't even think I realized this for a long time, but that's the very moment that started a 4-year depression for me." Thankfully, T-Pain has come to realize that you shouldn't always take advice from people in the industry that have just been there longer. Coming in number 9, Kristen Bell. Sometimes when celebrities are working on a film, their schedule gets absolutely overloaded, and like most people who try to squeeze too much into a single day, it can take a major toll on your mental health. Kristen Bell knows this feeling all too well, and during a keynote speech in 2019, she revealed that she found herself cycling between anxiety and depression because she felt the need to try and fulfill every obligation that was put into her calendar. While speaking at the Mind Body Bold conference in California, Bell explained that work isn't the only reason that she would feel overwhelmed. She went on to say, "I don't want to let anybody down, and then I end up letting them down because there are only 24 hours in a day, but I haven't ever acknowledged how depleting that can be, and how I'm actually not of service to anybody if I'm not whole." Although her way of coping with this codependency was by practicing saying no to people, in a very kind way of course, but for every negative thought that she had, she would also combat that by thinking of 10 positive ones, something that she also passed on to her children. Coming in number 8, Kanye West. Kanye has had some very public breakdowns over the years, but little did people know that he was actually hospitalized in 2016 for depression and paranoia. After the death of his mother Donda West in 2007 following plastic surgery complications, Kanye had been haunted by this and really blamed himself for his parents' demise because of the pressures of life in Hollywood. In addition to trying to come to terms with the loss of his mother, Kanye also opened up about being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. In 2019, when he appeared on the Netflix series My Next Guest Needs No Introduction, Kanye explained why it was important for him to continue taking his medication on a regular basis. In the interview, he said, "If you don't take medication every day to keep you at a certain state, you have a potential to ramp up, and it can take you to a point where you can even end up in the hospital, and you start acting erratic," as TMZ would put it. Coming in number 7, Michelle Obama. When COVID hit and everyone was forced to remain inside to prevent the spread of the virus, many people experienced bouts with depression, including former First Lady Michelle Obama. During an interview with People magazine, Michelle said that she now recognized that she needed to allow herself space to process everything that was happening in the world at that time. She goes on to say, "Depression is understandable during these times. I needed to acknowledge what I was going through because a lot of times we feel like we have to cover that part of ourselves up, that we always have to rise above and look as if we're not paddling hard underneath the water," adding, "This is what mental health is. You have highs and lows. What I have said to my daughters is that one of the things that is getting me through is that I'm old enough to know that things will get better." Coming in number 6, Jim Carrey. There's no doubt that Jim Carrey is a comedy legend that has solidified his own unique brand of slapstick comedy. However, in recent years we have witnessed a much more serious and sensitive side to Jim's personality, which provided a lot of insight into his struggles with mental health. Jim had battled with depression over the years, and his thoughts on the mental health condition are very insightful. Here's how Jim Carrey views depression. He's quoted as saying, "Depression is your body saying, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created in the world. It's too much for me. You should think of the word depressed as deep rest. Your body needs to be depressed. It needs deep rest from the character that you've been trying to play." Coming in number 5, Cara Delevingne. For model and actress Cara Delevingne, it was her internal struggle with her sexuality that began to take a toll on her mental health. While sitting down with People magazine, she expanded upon this, saying that because she is pansexual, her sexuality was constantly changing, but she admitted that her main fear was admitting to her father that she was attracted to women. During the interview, she is quoted as saying, "I was honestly terrified," adding she thought that he might kick her out of the house, but she found acceptance. She explained, "He was like, you deserve to be loved. He was so sweet I could cry about it right now." Looking back, she did correlate the massive depression that she felt to those moments of being ashamed of who she truly was. But after learning to love and accept herself, she has turned what was once the bane of her existence into a strength. Right now, she feels most happy when she doesn't have to conform to a singular gender norm, adding that she feels more comfortable in the fluidity of what it is to be a human. Coming in number 4, Chris Evans. Most people know Chris Evans as Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although behind the scenes he didn't have his vibranium shield to defend against his internal struggles. Ever since taking on the role, press events and public speaking have left Chris shaken up. However, recently he opened up more about his anxiety and trepidation, which is the feeling of fear or agitation that something bad may actually happen. Initially he had turned down the role of Captain America, but soon he realized that maybe the thing that he was the most scared of was actually what he needed to do the most. Fear of failure is no reason to quit, and like any person who has started a business will tell you, every failure is a lesson that can lead to a greater success. Coming number 3, Michael Phelps. Even though Michael Phelps is one of the most decorated Olympians in history, he is still human, and the pandemic sometimes took a frightening psychological toll on him. While speaking with Insider, Phelps said, "I'll be the first to admit my mental health has been scarier than it's ever been throughout all of this, so I can't even imagine what other people are going through," adding, "For those of you who are struggling with mental health, know you're not alone. There are days where I want to curl up into a ball and sit in the corner, but it's just taking a little step forward, taking a deep breath from time to time, it really helps." Phelps has also spoken about how journaling and meditation helped his mental health, as well as focusing on what he can control. Coming in number 2, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp has really been put through the ringer over the last few years, and it's no wonder that it took a toll on his mental health. In 2018, he sat down with Rolling Stone magazine to speak about his battle with depression after issues in his personal and professional life left him feeling low. While talking to Rolling Stone mag, he said, "I was as low as I believe I could have gotten. The next step for me was, you're going to arrive somewhere with your eyes open and you're going to leave there with your eyes closed. I couldn't take the pain every day." Not only was he dealing with his messy breakup though, he was also finding himself in a legal battle with his former managers who essentially left him for broke. He had trusted that the people around him were looking out for his best interests, but unfortunately not everyone's intentions were sincere. However, now he makes sure to take a look at every contract that he signs as to not repeat this terrible mistake. Last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, KERRY Washington. Back in 2009, KERRY Washington opened up during an interview with Essence magazine and spoke about her battles with depression. She said that most of her college experience revolved around depression that included a bad relationship with food and exercise. Eventually, she sought help from her dance teacher who could sense that something was wrong. While speaking about what helped her with depression, KERRY said, "I started therapy, which I still do today. I also see a nutritionist and I meditate. Learning how to love myself and my body is a lifelong process, but I definitely don't struggle the way I used to. Therapy helped me realize that maybe it's okay for me to communicate my feelings, instead of literally stuffing them down with food. Maybe it's okay for me to express myself."
Even though most YouTubers make it look easy, YouTube can be an incredibly difficult job. YouTubers are expected to make new content all the time, and if it's not better than the last, people can lose interest. It's also hard to take breaks as YouTube values consistency. All of this and more makes YouTube mentally taxing and has forced many YouTubers to take long breaks in order to get their mental health back to where it needs to be. And at number 10, Alisha Marie. The popular lifestyle YouTuber and OG creator decided to announce that she was taking a break on YouTube right around the time of her 10-year anniversary of having a YouTube channel in May of 2018. In the video called "I'm Burnt Out, Dealing with YouTube Burnout," she explains that she was going to be taking a break from her YouTube channel, which at the time had 7 million subscribers. With her saying that she is not creatively into the content that she's been making, and she wants to be proud of her content again. She said in the video, quote, "I don't know how long this break is gonna be. In my head it's only a month-ish, but who knows if I need more time, or maybe it's only a week." She also said she was inspired by the Dolan Twins, who I'll be talking about next. And at number 9, the Dolan Twins. In March of 2018, the massive YouTube creators announced that they were taking a break from their channel in a video called "Bye for Now." They say in the short video that they're going to need time away because they have been feeling stuck creatively and they need to take care of things in their personal lives, adding that YouTube has lost its magic for them because it has turned from a fun hobby into a job. And although the brothers did come back later, they very recently announced in January of 2021 that they were leaving YouTube for good and instead will be focusing on their podcast and other endeavors. And at number 8, Markiplier. Since Markiplier has been on the platform for so long, he has taken many breaks. He took a break in September of 2017 for 1 month because he simply just wanted to take time away to create better content, and he felt the quality of content that he was making was not up to his standards. He took another break in 2018 in light of a loss of a family member. He went on a well-needed hiatus after his 19-year-old niece, Miranda, had been killed in a car accident. In the emotional video, he told his viewers not to worry and that he would be fine, and that her parents are the ones that need all the love. And at number 7, Lilly Singh. Massive creator Lilly Singh announced in November of 2018 that she was going to be taking a break in a video called "I'll See You Soon." She said she didn't know how much time that she would be taking off YouTube, saying it could be 1 week or 1 month. But she did stress that she just needed a break, saying, quote, "I'm mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually exhausted." Going on to explain how she has been consistently uploading for 8 years with 2 videos per week and daily vlogs. And even though she stresses the hustle mentality, she knows that work should not come at the expense of her happiness. Adding, quote, "I'm not my optimal happiness right now. I could be mentally healthier." And at number 6, PewDiePie. Even YouTube's biggest creator has needed to take breaks on multiple occasions. He announced at the end of 2019 that he was not only taking a break from the platform in 2020, but that he also deactivated his Twitter account. In the video, Felix said, quote, "I thought YouTube would be over for me by now. I don't want to look at myself in 10 years in the future and realize I've done the same thing I'm doing now. Even though I really love what I do, I don't want to look back at my life in 20 years and go, oh, okay, cool, I just did YouTube videos, and I never did anything else. It just seems kind of sad to me." Adding that he needed to recharge in order to make better content in the future that would be more fulfilling. Halfway at number 5, Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat made a name for himself by daily vlogging every day on YouTube for years, as well as having a full-time job and a small child at home. Honestly, with the amount that he worked daily, I don't know how he was still standing by the end of the day. But he announced his first break from YouTube in August of 2016, saying he was ending his daily vlogs after 534 consecutive uploads. Then later on, he limited his daily vlogs to seasons, like seasons of a TV show, so he would always have month-long breaks in between. He discussed it more in an interview, saying, quote, "I've often talked about the pressures of being a YouTuber, and it's a tricky thing to talk about, because to find success on YouTube is to live the dream. Like, this is the ultimate, and if you achieve this kind of success on the platform, which so many people try to do, like, how dare you complain about it? It's a difficult thing to talk about unless you've been in the situation, but I think it's challenging to empathize with it." He also spoke candidly about the fact that his family life, more directly his marriage, was on the rocks because of daily vlogging. And number 4, Liza Koshy. Liza Koshy took a long break, and unlike a lot of other YouTubers, she didn't announce it beforehand. Instead, she talked about it after the break, when she came back. In a video she posted on January of 2019 called "Why I Took a Break," she explains how she tried to film the video multiple times beforehand, but she always had trouble posting it. She explains in the video how she had a lot of personal, presumably mental health problems that she was dealing with, and she was proud of how much she worked on herself during her time away. She also just says that she wasn't happy and her enthusiasm for her work was dwindling, then adding that she was stuck in the cycle of only posting the positive things in her life online as she didn't want to burden others, but she now knows she needs to share the bad sides of her life too. And at number 3, Elle Mills. Elle Mills is a Canadian YouTuber that blew up on the platform in a pretty short amount of time. And that formula of a lot of fame really quickly was not good for Elle. She announced a break in 2018 on Twitter, then explained it further in a video called "Burnt Out at 19. She started off the video saying that being a YouTuber was always her life dream, and when it happened so fast, she was shocked that she was incredibly unhappy. She then went on to show herself having multiple breakdowns over her unhappiness, even yelling at friends over the phone who told her that it would get better. Elle concluded the video by stating that she was going to be getting help with her mental health and she needed a break in order to get the help that she needed. She then made a video months later in September called "The Aftermath of My YouTube Breakdown," where she told fans that she was happier and healthier after her break, which is so good to hear. And at number 2, JacksepticEye. Popular YouTuber JacksepticEye has announced multiple breaks during his time on YouTube, but one of the most notable was on July 1st of 2020, simply called 2020. In the video, he explained that recent world events have created tons of mental stress for him and had affected his passion for making videos, saying in the video, quote, "My brain is just kind of exhausted from uploading all the time and seeing all the stuff that's going on and interacting with the internet the way that I have been, so I just need to step back from it a little." And he said in the video that the break would be his longest to date, with Jack taking the entire month of July off, returning in August. And at number 1, Laura Lee. Laura Lee's break is the most recent on this list. It started with her uploading a video on January 28th of 2021 called "I Lost My Mom." In the video, she explained how her mother had passed away from COVID. She ended the video by saying that she already had another video mostly done, and after that video was posted, she would see if she was able to continue uploading on her channel. She uploaded the other video called "Getting Rid of All My Makeup Collection Part 3 plus Therapy Sesh" on January of 31st. And then shortly after, she took to her Instagram stories to announce that she would be taking a break off YouTube, with her saying that it doesn't feel right trying to film after what's happened in her life, and she needs some time alone to process things, and to get her mental health back on track. Videos of Post Malone surfaced the other day showing him stumbling around and then even falling on stage during a concert, leaving many fans worried that he might be the next victim of the tragic drug-related deaths that we have seen with other rappers recently, such as with Mac Miller. But after this story started to trend all over the internet with fans insanely worried about Post's health, he's now spoken out with a message that he wants his fans to hear. So to give you guys a quick recap, at a concert he held last week, after many fans noticed that he was stumbling a lot more than usual and even at one point slowly fell down on stage, some fans thought he might have just had a little too much to drink. But others were very concerned that his rock star image filled with drugs, alcohol, and tons of partying was getting the worst of him. Because of the concern, tons of videos of Post at the concert started to go viral, with people questioning his health and if he had a potential drug addiction. The footage showed him stumbling, slurring his words, and rolling his eyes back in his head while performing. But now that he's been trending online for days, Post decided to come out with his side of the story.
"I'm not on drugs and I feel the best I've ever felt in my whole life."
So during one of his shows at the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, Post spoke straight to his fans about all the allegations. He said in summary, "I'm not on drugs. I feel the best I've ever felt in my life," he continued. "And that's why I can bust my for these shows and fall on the floor and do all that fun shit. But for everyone that's concerned here, I appreciate the love and the support, but I feel fantastic and I'm not doing drugs." So after all that, fans were really glad to hear that he appreciates their concern, but he is actually just fine. He also looked a lot more put together and sober during this show, so there's a chance that he has made some positive changes in his pre-show routine after all the outcry heard days before. And the theory that he just plays up a lot of the bad boy rapper persona at his shows is looking to be the culprit of the story. But of course, there are still tons of fans out there that think that he actually might have a problem, but he just pulled it together for that show in order to make a statement so that everyone would stop bugging him for his drug use. But of course, that's all just speculation by people on Twitter. For his sake, I'm hoping that whoever's on his team around him is watching over him and intervening if they feel that they need to. Because I said in a previous video that I was a huge fan of Mac Miller, and it was so heartbreaking to hear that he had passed so young and with so much potential. And of course, I have these same sentiments for Post, and I really hope he can learn from other rappers' past mistakes. Also, just a side note about Post, I've always loved how much he respects YouTubers and people in the YouTube space, because if you didn't know, he's always going on YouTube shows and hanging out with other YouTubers like the Nelk Boys, Ethan and Ela from H3H3, and of course going on shows like Hot Ones. So in my eyes, he's just a precious gem that needs to be protected at all costs, and I really hope his statement is the truth and he doesn't have any problems with addiction. Because the world seriously cannot take the loss of another young rapper with all the young talent that's unfortunately passed this year.
Fans and haters alike are all worried about Nikocado Avocado after a new video he posted where he calls himself Jesus and cries, but that's usual rhetoric for Nikocado. Is this evidence of declining mental health? Should there be an intervention, or is this all just a big cry for attention? That rhymed. Nicholas Perry, aka Nikocado Avocado, is known to be a YouTuber that banks on controversy. Other than his extreme eating mukbangs, he's known to post videos where he has meltdowns and he just cries the whole time, usually featuring thumbnails with his very expressive beet red crying face. His antics have earned him 3 million subscribers on YouTube across his 3 channels. Ever since that whole Stephanie Sue drama happened, people just haven't really been paying that much attention to Nikocado Avocado. It just seems to be the same over and over again. He stirs up drama, posts a bunch of meltdowns, goes back to making mukbangs, and then repeats the process. But he uploads actually quite a bit and continues to post meltdowns. But Nikocado Avocado's latest video, entitled "Jesus is Coming Soon, He Spoke to Me," is causing a lot of concern, like more concern than usual.
Jesus is right here. He's right here. He's right here.
That is just like one part of it. The entire video is just like crying and rambling and weird close-ups. It is very strange. He's either a very good actor or he's just not in his right state of mind. The problem with being someone that normally posts meltdowns to YouTube is it is difficult to differentiate between a real meltdown and a fake one. This could very well be evidence of a psychiatric meltdown and he could need help. But because he has a reputation with posting videos like this, I mean, it's like, how do we know for sure that you're not just trying to stir up drama or boost your views? The video is monetized with 4 ads. Some people are worried about his health, others are just thinking that he's pulling a Trisha Paytas. Here were some reactions. Dude, he's gone crazy. When he started YouTube, before he started eating and was skinny, he was so nice. But now seeing him like this, it's just sad. I think he needs to be at break first and speak to a therapist. He's kind of a psycho and mentally insane and sometimes being a hypocrite. This dude is definitely on drugs. And lastly, this is actually one of the most disturbing things I've ever watched. The thing is, Nikocado Avocado has admitted to having mental health issues. He told Trisha Paytas that he found out that he was adopted early in life and he struggled with that. He acted out as a result and was subject to several mental health interventions as a child. He said this on Trisha's podcast. I was in and out of therapy since I was like 5 years old. I would just like always want attention. I wanted the spotlight. He also admitted that he's been on antidepressants since he was 7. He's been diagnosed with ADHD and OCD. Interestingly, weird take on this, it might be the food that Nick is consuming that's contributing to his declining mental health. I don't want to say that like you are what you eat or whatever, but there is a stark difference between who Nick used to be before when he was a vegan and who Nick is now that he's eating all kinds of crazy stuff. Whatever you eat does affect your mood. It affects your overall health. It could be full of hormones or who knows what else. He went from being this really nice guy who was a vegan to being the most melodramatic guy on YouTube in the span of like a couple of years, and the main difference is the eating. And if you don't believe me, Nick actually said this himself. He told Trisha that the excessive amounts of junk food he consumes make him crazy, where he has episodes of manic where everything seems really hard. Regardless, I really hope that Nick's okay, and the attention on YouTube really isn't worth all of this. It's not worth your declining mental health. If that's what's happening, you need to get off YouTube and just work on yourself.
A boy named Keaton Jones is going viral right now after a video of him sobbing about being bullied was posted on Facebook by his mother. The video touched many people, and now the world is rallying behind Keaton. Keaton is from Tennessee. On Friday, his mother Kimberly went to pick him up from school because he was trying to hide from bullies. He took refuge in his mother's car, and his mother filmed Keaton telling his story. Keaton says bullies call him ugly, they make fun of his nose, and they poured milk on him and put ham down his clothes. He asks the camera, just out of curiosity, why do they bully? What is the point of it? Why do they find joy in taking innocent people and finding a way to be mean to them? I've never really understood why bullies do what they do, but I honestly think that it has something to do with the fact that they pick on people that are weaker than them because it makes them feel powerful. Maybe they're picked on at home by their parents and they're copying their behavior, but I don't think that's a good enough excuse to treat people poorly. Keaton also had a message for anyone else who's being bullied, and he said, just don't let it bother you. It will get better. See, this is the difference between Keaton and these bullies. Even after all he's been through, even after all the times kids have been mean to him, he doesn't find someone else to pick on. He's still compassionate enough to care about other people. 22 million people have seen this video as of right now, and the hashtag #StandWithKeaton started trending. Celebrities are rallying behind Keaton Jones. Justin Bieber, Cardi B, Snoop Dogg, Katy Perry, Demi Lovato, and Chris Evans are just a few who have posted encouraging tweets about Keaton and his video. Chris Evans invited Keaton and his mother to the premiere of The Avengers next year. Dana White, president of UFC, wants to give him a tour of the headquarters. And several Tennessee State University football players are going to visit Keaton's school this week. Well, I bet that's going to be awkward for those bullies. The outpour of love for Keaton on social media has been overwhelming. His mother Kimberly has received thousands of messages of support.